We are going to discuss biotic components and abiotic components now. First, we'll discuss all these abiotic components first. Then we'll come to biotic components. Okay. So in various abiotic components, I'm not going to mention geography. I'm going to mention something different from what we already have studied in geography. Okay. So various abiotic factors are what? Sunlight. Correct. Notice sun is a source of energy. Already you know. Sun is our mother star, parent star, source of light and heat energy. All life forms require sunlight. So sunlight is very crucial for our own existence. For example, we get vitamin D from exposing ourselves to sunlight. In our class, I was telling you, UVB radiation falls on our skin. Remember, I used to tell you. So in epidermis, we have 7-DHC, I told you, 7-dehydrocholesterol. So when sunlight falls on it, it changes into vitamin D. So our skin naturally synthesizes vitamin D when it is exposed to sunlight. So like that, plants require sunlight for photosynthesis. Bacteria require sunlight for photosynthesis. Like this, sun is very crucial. Sunlight is very crucial for all life form. So already you know what is insolation? Incoming solar radiation. Once the earth absorbs it, it sends out the radiation called as terrestrial radiation. Okay. So both these regulates our temperature. Along with the greenhouse gases, the insolation and terrestrial radiation regulate the temperature of the earth. So notice this now. So sunlight, source of So notice this, we'll come to this. So notice this please. The temperature of a place depends upon which latitude we are in, where we are living. Correct? All of you know equator, tropics, subtropics, temperate and poles. So depending upon the amount of insolation, the insolation depends upon distance between sun and earth, in which latitude we are living, which height, altitude we are living, seasons of the year, summer, winter, spring, autumn, then albedo. Remember reflectivity. So temperature of the place depends upon all these factors. So notice places close to equator. Here near equator, the amount of insolation received is also high. Humidity is also high. All those plant species which require higher temperature and higher humidity are called as megatherm. I'm equating that geography to environment now. So all those plant species which require higher temperature and higher humidity, animals which require higher temperature and higher humidity are called as megatherm. Megatherms are those species close to equator because humidity is also high, temperature is also high, moderately high. That is called as megatherm. So here we get evergreen vegetation. Most of the plants do shed leaves, but in different time of the year. So they appear green throughout the year. So as a result, evergreen rainforest we get. So there are certain plants and animals which can survive in very high temperature, extremely high temperature. They are called as hyperthermophiles. Hyper means very high. Thermo means heat. Hyperthermophile, here you can see the word here. Hypothermophiles are those species of plants and animals which can tolerate extreme heat, extremely high temperature. For example, there is a ant, silver ant of Sahara desert. Sahara silver ant bolte isko. That Sahara silver ant can live even in temperatures of 60-65 degrees Celsius. In that heat also it can survive. Those are called as hyperthermophiles. Okay. So there is so many species called, let's say there is a species called water bear. Water bear, I'll show you that. Very weird looking species that can survive in extreme temperatures, even 120 degrees Celsius of heat, and also near radiation sites, nuclear radiation sites also it can survive. Okay, so those kind of species we have. Those are called as hyperthermophiles, where there are extreme conditions also, some species will be there. Bacteria can survive. Okay, there is a worm called Pompeii worm. Pompeii is a place in Italy. The Mount Vesuvius volcanic eruption caused extreme heat. In that heat, it survives. So it's called as Pompeii worm. Pompeii worm is also a type of hyperthermophile. So all these species can survive in extreme conditions. They are hypothermophile. In moderate heat, high heat and humidity, megatherms. As we move away, we can see temperatures still fluctuate. Summer temperatures are hot, winter temperatures are cooler. Those species which can tolerate those variations, mesotherm. Most of the plants outside here are mesotherms. Most of the species outside here, those are all comes under the word mesotherm. Deciduous plants basically. Deciduous plants are those plants which shed leaves during dry season or in winter. Those are called as mesotherms. Then further as you go here into temperate regions, temperatures decrease. Those plants which can survive in lower temperatures, slightly lower, 0 to 14 or 0 to 10 microtherm. less than 10 degrees Celsius temperature also they can tolerate. Conifers, for example, coniferous plants, they're microtherm. Further, as you go towards polar, very cold, extremely cold conditions, some animals survive that. Echistotherms. See the word. Echistotherms are those plants and animals which can survive in extremely low conditions, like mosses, lichens can survive. That is echistotherms. Okay, write a small diagram circle, write the names quickly. So depending upon the temperature variation also, some species have acclimatized to those changes, adapted. These are all kind of adaptations. So we are discussing abiotic factor. Heading is abiotic factors. In that we are discussing temperature first. First abiotic factor, temperature. I just need these terms in your notes. That's it. I'll only write the definitions here. Megatherms, high temperature, high humidity, means high rainfall condition they can survive. Meso, moderate, moderate heat, moderate rainfall. Micro, cool, lower temperatures. Okay. Ecosystem, very low, cold. Okay. Like this we can classify habitats. Depending upon the place, different species can be found. That is the reason we can't bring a species from here and keep it here. So I'll tell you one incident. Green anacondas. Green anacondas are very popular in Sri Lanka. You know, anacondas. Anacondas live in this habitat. Megatherms. Very high temperature, high humidity. So what Mysore Zoo did, they made an exchange, animal exchange program with Sri Lanka, and they bought green anacondas from Sri Lanka. 5 green anacondas they bought. So they kept it in the zoo in high temperature, humidity. So they in turn they gave them tiger animal exchange program. So after a few days, what happened? They started dying because we can't maintain that condition here, na. Can you maintain that condition artificially inside the zoo, inside the room? We can't. So they started dying. So I was like 15, 16 years old. So when they bought that, we went there to Mysore Zoo because anaconda. We thought anaconda will be so huge. You have seen the movie Anaconda. Same time that movie was released, Anaconda. So we thought it will kill everyone in our city. Come out of the zoo and kill. So we went to see that. So slowly we started seeing that die. So then we realized, okay, we can't introduce a species into a new habitat. Correct. It will gradually die. So just write the words mega. Mega means high. High temperature, high humidity. Okay, because in equator we have high humidity. Remember, we have discussed all this. Why we get rain, convectional rain near equator. All that kind of geographical concepts is over. Mesotherm is moderate temperature. Means summers are hot, winters are cold slightly. So that kind of changes. Plants can adopt deciduous. In cool conditions, they can survive. Conifers, I have written here, you can notice. Conifers. In polar regions, extremely low conditions, tundra. We call it as tundra. Hyperthermophiles are those species which can survive extremely high, very high temperature. Silver ant, for example. Saharan silver ant, Pompey. In volcanoes, we get this worm. So they call it as Pompey worm. Pompey is a place in Italy, near Mount Vesuvius, near a volcano. Okay. And another one is water bear. I'll show you this water bear. It's a very unique species, water bears. Nobody would have seen that till now. Okay. I'll just open a web page. Give me 1 second. Or write down first. Tardigrade only. Water bears are tardigrades. Tardigrades.